no matter what, you have to put yourself first. If you're not aware that there's change that needs to be made, how can you fix it? This information is fire.
I had to come to the realization that, number one, I was an emotional eater.
We need to accept the decisions that we make, because if we can do that, then we have the power to change them. You came here so that way you can start moving into your heaven path. Once again, we're going to bring up your next speaker. That's going to be the wonderful, magnificent Chris James.
You talk about how much you hate your fat. Your body has been working all this time to keep you alive.
I don't think anybody in my circle understands impossible. What time time?
What? Start over.
What time does the live start?
Starts right now, man. 8 o'clock Central, baby.
Starting right now, Central Time. What's going on, everybody? I don't know what was going on, but something weird with the chat was happening because y'all's comments didn't start coming in until 8:05. I'm like, where's everybody at?
That's what time they started, man.
You think so? That's when they started?
That's when they started, man.
No, okay. Yeah, we're going to wear y'all out this week, man. We got lives going all week long. Got Steve just got off a live. I told him we got 45 minutes, man. That's all I can do. Hey, man, I got a cool topic for y'all today, man. I came up with it a couple hours ago. I was just thinking, what? How is it better if I come up with the topic yesterday?
Nah, man. That's how AJ rolls, man. We come up with them right before.
Right before, or sometimes not at all. It's an organic process. You want to. It's like breaking news. You know what I'm saying? You want to be the first one to deliver breaking news. So when I schedule my live streams, I think about I just think there's an energy, something. It's a topic I need to talk about. Today, it was one of the topics I really do enjoy. Today, we're talking about failure, but from a different perspective. We putting a twist on it because I want you all to start thinking about, what if failure was not an option? What if you could only succeed? When I was younger, I want to say that we had like a motivational speaker come or something like that. And we did this exercise. It's very similar to basically what I'm talking about today, where we always play the what if game. You know what I'm saying? So Steve, you want to be a firefighter, or maybe you want to get into the military, and then you might start thinking, well, what if I'm not good enough? What if I can't pass my PT test? What if, whatever the case may be? What if I injure myself? And we start playing this what if game, and it always tends to go one direction. It's like a negative connotation with this what if game. It's always like that. I don't know why that is. What if we were to play the what if game on the other side? What if you're massively successful? What if you save someone's life and that person ends up being the next, I don't even know who I want to say. I was going to say Bill. What if you save them, they end up being the next Bill Gates? Maybe their destiny was supposed to be in that house, bro. But
not a good example.
I don't have any good. I know too much about the people we pedestalize. I'm like, they all flawed, right? But what if they're the next person that is good and nice to other people and helps a lot of people? What if they're that person? It's important to reframe this what if game we play with each other, because depending on which way you go with it, is going to determine how you kind of move. Like, are you going to move with extreme caution? Are you going to overanalyze? There's a paralysis that comes with overanalyzing things. And I know it's good to keep our wits about us, and I know it's good to plan, but you know the old saying, man plans and God laughs. Planning can't be that important when it comes to things that we're unfamiliar with. Sometimes you got to build the plane as you fly it. Sometimes you do. If we really think about it, any pioneers in any aspect of our life, somebody was building it while they flew it. Somebody was the first one to do it, right? I was thinking about, so Steve, I've been back in the garden recently, and I love this time of year because of the garden.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy. I look forward to this. And I was just thinking about, there was a wild plant growing in the garden, which I'm all for. Most people get upset about it. They'll call it weeds. I let the dandelions go crazy. Yeah, I'm weird. But I also learned that dandelions have deep tap roots, and they're able to pull up minerals from the soil that other plants can't. So I let wild plants grow as much as I can. One of the wild plants that I was researching, I think it's called hemlock. And it is apparently poisonous. It's a toxic plant, whatever. I don't know. They're always saying something's toxic. I think it's less that it's toxic and more about not really understanding how to use it. But it got me thinking, when we think about like herbalists and herbology and all the things that we've learned from plants, someone had to be the first one to just put that leaf in their mouth. Like, I was thinking about, like, who wants that job? Like, you're the one out here tasting random plants, eating random mushrooms, and classifying them. Like, how do we know the mushroom is toxic? Because someone got sick from eating it. Someone started hallucinating, right? So somebody has to be that crash dummy. And I think that because we are so far in human existence right now, we want to stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, especially when it comes to science. We just want to believe that someone came before us, ate the leaf, and was able to perfectly describe what that outcome was like, or what that experience was like. I think it's a trick. I think that one of the first things that was snuffed out was our desire to explore. Like, when you think about young children, they want to explore. They want to go outside. We used to go outside, and man, it's just, we were so small at the time, but it seemed like there was a forest and a river everywhere. Like, literally behind the school. We used to live in Maryland, Steve. You remember Maryland, because that's where you broke that window.
Hey, man.
Hey, you remember that window?
You mean the big glass sliding door?
A big sliding glass window.
Yeah, I was mischievous.
When we used to live out there, I don't know if you remember, we would go to the edge of the community, or we would go to the, like, behind the school, and it was just all trees. And it was so wondrous. Now, going back there as an adult and actually looking at it, that was not a forest. It was literally like a sliver of land where it was just trees and water. You know what I mean? Like, literally, it would take you 5 minutes to walk through it. It was nothing. On the other side of the forest was an apartment complex. But as a child, it was a wonderland. And I remember we would walk through it and get those little seeds attached to our clothes, the ones that stick to you. And I started thinking back, like, what happened to that childlike wonder? Well, we became adults. We were taught better, right? And the problem with that is, children, when they are exploring and they have a wondrous mind, they're not worried about picking up snakes, snails, bugs, none of that stuff. They're curious. They don't know. They haven't been bit by a snake. They haven't been bit by a spider. Shoot, a lot of y'all haven't either, but you fear them anyway. So that fear has been ingrained in us through our education. And we've also lost our childlike wonder, our ability to explore and be creative. And what I think that does in all aspects of life, without us doing it necessarily on purpose, we put ourselves in this little subconscious box. It's a box with really safe boundaries. You know, we're looking to get a house recently, so I'm learning about setbacks. So you've got the actual box that is the boundary, right? The final boundary. But then in addition to that, you have setbacks, meaning you can't build your house all the way to the end of the box. There has to be 5 to 10 feet in between the boundary of the property or the box that you've set and the house. So not only do we have our boundaries, but we have these 10-foot setbacks as well. We are safe and secure, and we're bored, and we're complacent, and life feels monotonous, and we don't know why. It's because we're not willing to step out on childlike wonder. We're not willing to have that explorative mindset anymore because we've been educated to believe better than that. We're not savages and we're not children. We're adults. We live in a modern society. We wear nice clothing. We don't like to get our hands dirty. We don't want to smell bad. We don't want to sweat. None of these things are acceptable in civilized world. And because we've taken on all of these ideologies that were given to us, they're not even naturally ours, because you see what children do and how children act, and they're nothing like us. And we accept it. And then we develop all of these issues because in every aspect of our life, we're creating these nice, neat boxes and boundaries and setbacks to make sure that we're safe. And we wonder why our lives are so boring. So what I'm saying is, who cares if you fail? Let's erase failure as an option. Let's just remove it. It's a non-factor. Doesn't exist. There's no such thing as failure. Any type of failure that we would typically experience in life, we're going to reframe it. It doesn't exist anymore. Failure is just simply a learning experience. It's an opportunity to grow. It's a stepping stone. What would happen if you set your mind to an outcome and you achieved it? What happens if you not only achieve it, you blow it out the water? What if achieving this outcome creates a brand new opportunity for you in life? What if it opens up a path that you never considered before? What if that? What if we erased the negative connotation associated with the what if game and we only saw positive outcomes? And what if, as you were going through this process, for us, it's a health and wellness process. Maybe it's losing weight. Maybe it's reversing a dis-ease. What if along the way, we decided to put ourselves around like-minded individuals? I had an interesting call today with a pastor that's newer to our community. And he was just so excited. He was so excited. And he was just like, he kept telling me, Chris, it's just such an honor to talk to you. It's just I'm just so honored to talk to you. And I'm just like, man, I could have never imagined this. Like in my wildest dreams, would I never think that a pastor from, I believe he's from Alabama, would be calling me, telling me how much of an honor it is to talk to me and meet me. Like literally, it was never that. How could I ever have thought of that? I never was thinking about becoming a minister. I was never thinking about becoming a preacher or a bishop or an elder of the church. So that sort of interaction was simply never on my radar. And he's not the only one. We've had several pastors in our different classes and courses. And I'm not saying this to like boast about it. What I'm trying to get y'all to understand is I took a chance. I decided to do something completely wild and different. I decided to experiment on myself. I decided to document that journey, all selfishly. I just wanted to be healthy for myself. And then that opened up a world of possibilities that I never perceived prior to that. You know, like I always wanted to do real estate. I figured by becoming an electrician, I learned construction. That's got to be good for real estate. You know, that was one of the main reasons why I became an electrician. I was going to be an electrician, a carpenter, or something, because I always wanted to get into real estate and I love working with my hands. I'm not thinking that one day a pastor is going to call me and tell me how much of a pleasure it is to meet me because I've changed his life through content that I put out, the interviews, the transformation videos. There's no way I couldn't have even thought of that. But what if instead of playing the what if game with the negative connotation, what if I played it with the positive connotation? What if I allowed myself to believe that anything was possible? What if I removed the boundaries that we have placed on us, these subconscious boundaries and these setbacks that we've had placed on ourselves, and that we then continue to place on ourselves because we're in this society where we got to stay safe. And there's always an expert that we can rely on that's going to be able to tell you more about you than you. It doesn't even make sense. How can anyone tell you more about you than you? But we allow these people to do it all of the time, especially when it comes to our health and wellness. The most sacred thing we have on this planet is our body, is our temple. How can anyone know that better than you? And yet we give those rights away to someone else. So I want you all to think about the goals that you had set up for this year, right? And before the new year even started, we talked about this. Steve, well, what do we say? When does the New Year resolution start?
It really should start 2 to 3 months prior to the new year.
So 3 months prior to the new year, we started talking about New Year's resolution. What was your goal? What did you want to achieve? I get messages regularly, people telling me about their struggles, telling me that things aren't going as planned, that there's an obstacle here and an obstacle there. I said this on the call last night. Life is a game, whether you want to believe it or not. Obstacles are a regular part of games because otherwise they're not fun. You have to have something to overcome. Reframe the obstacles that you have in your life. They are the only thing that makes this game fun. If you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and you had everything handed to you on a silver platter, what fun would life be? I'm talking all the money you could ever need, to the point where you have no value for money. Well, that eliminates any of the fun to get that new car that you've always wanted, get that new house, live in that neighborhood, or to be able to go on that trip you've always wanted. You could do all those things. That's boring. In addition to that, you have a plethora of options as it relates to who you want to either marry or date. No one says no to you. You can have anybody you want. Do you know how amazing it is to look at that person, your crush, for days? You're in school, you're observing all the little cute things about them that you never would have observed before had they been handed to you on a silver platter. Those little quirks about that particular that person that you like, that you have learned to love. You don't even know them. And you've worked up all of this feeling and emotion in your mind before ever even speaking to them. And then one day you guys run into each other, literally in the middle of the hallway, and you drop your books and your papers and you lock eyes and you have that moment where you see each other for the first time. Imagine never having that experience because life is just frictionless for you. And all we ever do is complain about the obstacles that are in our life when they're the greatest thing that this life offers. It's the whole idea that, you can't really enjoy the sunshine without rain. You just take it for granted. It's just, I don't know, it's just how we are. So I want you all to think about, what if you do succeed? What is life going to be like? What are the opportunities that you're going to have? And you can have fun with this because, like I told you, I never could have perceived where I'm at now, and even still where I'm going. Like, it's just a fun ride. And the thing that I like about it the most, as I hurdle these obstacles that life throws at me, it does become fun. It's like light work now. If you guys have ever played a video game and you get to the first level, you're like, okay, that's pretty easy. You get to the second level, you get to the third level, and things start getting a little more difficult. You get to the fifth level and you get stuck and you can't get past it. It's too hard. And you don't even understand how anybody can get past it. And then one day you beat it and you level up. And now, next time the game throws you a stage like stage 5, you're not stuck there anymore. And there's some type of a sense of accomplishment that comes with that, you know? So every time you hurdle another obstacle, you're leveling up. It's another tool that you're putting in your belt. It's allowing you to be more efficient and go to higher heights. Imagine, again, that you're that person with the silver spoon in your mouth. You're probably not going to have the greatest character. Why? You've never had to work on developing it. You've never had to work on working your way up to speaking to someone, being an interesting person. You have the world at your fingertips. You've experienced everything, but you can't even convey it. You don't know what it's like to not have it. You take every experience for granted. What an awful existence. Be grateful for the obstacles that you have. Be grateful for the fact that you struggle. Be grateful for the things that you call failure, because they're going to help be the building blocks to your ultimate success, but not just the success. It's the enjoyment of the success you've obtained. Stephen.
I forgot why I was here for a second, man. Hey, you going off right now. Somebody in the chat called you professor, man. They said, what they say? Where's that question? Professor always come with great knowledge and insight, which I think is absolutely correct, because you do have a lot of great knowledge and insight. And the term failure, it's really not what we think it is. And I think that you made a couple key points there. Right. When we're talking about failure, the definition of failure is simply lack of success. That's simply the definition of failure, right? And success simply means the accomplishment of aim or purpose. So whatever it is that we were looking to accomplish, or whatever it is that we were looking to achieve, we just did not quite get there, right? But failure simply just means that you just didn't get completion. That does not mean that you did not learn along the way, right? So if, for example, you want to take a test and you want to get 100% on this test, if you get a 99%, somebody may see that as failure, depending on what they're used to, right? But other people may not see it as failure. That means that you've learned 99% of what you should have learned during that test, or what you were supposed to be learning, but there was maybe one thing that you need to work on. That doesn't mean that you failed. Failure is something that really is a really big deal. It takes a lot to truly fail, because through everything in life, no matter what it is that you're going through, there is success, right? So you can go through some of the harshest things in life. There are people that lived before us that did not have the accommodations that we have. There are people that live in other places of the world that do not have the safety that we have. There are people that live in places that they don't have the opportunities that we have. We naturally, simply by being on this live, have access to internet. We have access to funds and resources that allow us to even be here. And we probably have the ability to then go and implement some of the strategies that AJ has talked about, or we are going to be talking about, that will allow you to better your life, right? So we already are more successful in our lives than even a lot of other people, right? So in even looking at it in that way, we have to understand that success is something that can really come from even failure. we need to be looking at life as not just a string of, well, let me just make it easy and get to the end. No, as you said, in order for you to learn, in order for you to get to a place where you have, or to level up, you have to go through some hurdles. You're not going to get to the place to where you want to go, right? So earlier you said, when we come in, we just kind of start, right? Sometimes, well, newsflash, breaking news, you are not going to be able to get to where you want to go, whether it's in your health journey, whether it's in your career, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in your mental health. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you are looking to achieve, you will not be able to achieve it unless you go through some hardships. This is where you learn. Most of where you learn are in your failures. When I was playing football, that's usually what our coaches said when we lost. You learn more from failures than you do from successes. Success is great. It shows that you have learned something, or you have gotten to a certain level, or you are achieving in a certain way, but you really truly learn who you are, and you learn how to get to that next level in times where you then have to step up. I just told a story. Chris said, told earlier that I was just another live. And I was telling a story about, in our PAM group, how I ended up having to do a lot of PAM calls. And it was not the most comfortable time for me, right? Because I typically work to plan them out in a certain way, and I have a certain amount of content, and I like to deliver it in a certain way. And then during that time where I was doing a lot of them, it forced me to grow. It forced me to look at a different way of presenting my content in a way that would allow people to, number one, receive it more, learn more, and then, of course, hold on to it more. But it also made me open myself and look at how can I present new information in a way that maybe others have not experienced it before. The uncomfortableness of the pressure that Chris basically put on me and of some of the other coaches, it forced me to grow. And I didn't really truly realize and appreciate that until today, until I then came back and did another PAM call after it's been about a month. And I was just like, man, it's really good to be back. And then I really understood that the pressure that I was put under, the frustration that I experienced in that moment helped me to grow as a coach and helped me to change and make changes in the way that I present information. And I didn't appreciate that until I got through it. So anytime that life throws you a curveball, anytime that life causes you to get uncomfortable, we need to no longer look at this as a time of, man, this just sucks, I wish it was easier. A better way to look at it would be like, you know what? This is fantastic. This is an opportunity for me to grow. And I think that's something really important. And you were talking about, you said a couple of things earlier. I was trying to take notes as you were going through because you said so much. You really did a great job, right? But it made me think about two words. And they're words that seem to be interchangeable, but they have different meanings. And they're words that I have been really kind of focused on in myself. And when you were talking about failure, it made me think about them. And those two words, and I probably want to talk about this more in depth later, but those two words are boldness and courage, right? And a lot of times we tend to kind of interchange them, but they are truly different. And as you go through your wellness journey, you're going to need both of them, right? Boldness and courage, right? So courage simply is the ability to confront fear, the ability to confront pain, danger, uncertainty, intimidation, whether it be physical or mental or emotional. It involves facing adversity or difficulty with resolve and determination and strength of character, right? Courage is something that we usually assign to heroes or some of the most masculine men that we see in our society. They have courage, right? Some of our soldiers, They're very courageous. If something were to happen and someone were to attack you, you would really want someone that would present with a lot of courage. But then you have boldness, which has its own benefits also, right? And on the other hand, it's really the willingness to take risks, to act with confidence and assertiveness. And it often involves making daring decisions or taking the unconventional actions without fear of consequences. Both of them are extremely beneficial in what they do, but they are very different. And as you go through your wellness journey, I want you to think about boldness as the first step, right? If you are sitting here and you're just like, man, I really need to make a change, right? Boldness is the ability for you to stand up and take that risk, to take that first step and say, you know what? I do need to make a change. I do need to start eating differently. I do need to go through and do this as if failure is not an option. And what if I do succeed, right? That is boldness. When courage steps in, when things get hard, when things get tough, when things start to then get you really uncomfortable and you're just at the point where you're like, you know what? I really want a cheesesteak. I really want to go and order pizza. I really want some donuts. This is when courage steps in and it says, no, you stand up for yourself. Courage allows you to face fear. It allows you to face adversity. It allows you to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I may not have been doing the things that I've wanted to do correctly in the past, but I'm going to stand up for myself today. I'm going to stand up to the things that I have been doing wrong for the last 20 years, for the last 30 years, for the last 40 years, and I am going to do them with the mindset that what if I don't fail? What if I do succeed? Who will I become, right? Courage allows you to look past failure and look towards only success. Because once again, as Chris stated, a lot of times when we think or we play this what if game, it's always looking at, well, what if they don't go right? But what if they do? What if you do start fasting? Or what if you do start changing your diet and then you become successful? And then you, like myself, start at 400 pounds and you end up losing 200. What if things do go right? Now, all of a sudden, you now change the way that you think. You start going and getting into therapy and you start working on your mental health. You start having the ability to then stand up and go to the gym and you are able to now run. And now you're able to then teach other people to do the same things that you do, right? What if you do succeed? Right? You now are able to have a confidence to go talk to that man or talk to that woman that you've been looking for, right? What if you now have the mental acuity and the ability to be more spiritual and you're able to then say a prayer and then put action behind those words and then go get the things that you want? What if you are able to do that? We all the time think about the negative or what may happen if we don't. And don't get me wrong, I think it's very important to look at things in a very well-rounded way and look at what is the possibility of failure. But in these instances, we need to then practice boldness to get us started and to get things moving in the right direction. But then we need to dig deep and then find courage within ourselves to then push. We need to find the courage within ourselves to then grow and then be better people and to continue to push through the times where things are rough and to push through and be the person that we truly have been meant to be our entire lives. See, a lot of times we think that we are just meant to be who we are because that's just who we are, but that's not true. Our food, our environment, there's so many things that have molded and shaped us to be who we are, but that's not necessarily who you are supposed to be. The person that you are supposed to be is the person that is inside that is waiting to get out. The person that is inside that is just quietly sitting there, watching life go by, just waiting their turn to come out. And unfortunately, for some people, that person never gets out. That person has been snuffed out. That person has been in them, and they'll go their entire lives without truly being who they are meant to be. And I can tell you this, that you will have a very difficult time being the person that you truly are meant to be. You're going to have a hard time being the parent that you're truly supposed to be. You're going to have a hard time being the spouse that you're supposed to be. You're going to have a hard time just living comfortably the way that you feel that you should be able to be. If you are walking around in pain all the time, if you're walking around sick all the time, if you always have the sniffles, if you always are in the doctor's office, if you are always constantly concerned about how you feel or how you look, or if this is fitting too tight or if this fits the wrong way, you're never going to truly be able to be at the core who you truly should be if you are constantly worried about your health and how you feel. Chris says this all the time. Our health is the bare minimum. It's the starting point. It is a birthright that has been snuffed out, that has been taken from us. And we need to have boldness to say that is correct. And I need to stand up for myself. But then after we do that, we need to have the courage to then take steps through the muck and the mire, through the adversity. When things come up, we need to have the courage to stand up for ourselves and say, I'm going to do this for me so that I can be the person that I know that I'm truly meant to be. And then when you do that, you then will then affect everyone around you. And I will say that if Chris did not have the courage to stand up and to be the person that he was supposed to be, I would not be who I'm supposed to be. And by me standing up and having boldness and saying, you know what? I mean, this sounds crazy, fasting for 5 days and not eating. This sounds absolutely crazy, but you know what? I'm sick. I don't feel good. I'm at the point where I'm ready to end my own life. I don't have anything else to live for. So guess what? If it works, great, right? If it doesn't, well, I'm on the way out anyway, right? And that's the mindset that I was in. I had to look at things as, instead of what if I fail, I looked at things and said, well, what if I succeed? And I'll tell you this, nothing that I'm living through right now is what I expected. And it's so much more, simply by standing up for myself and having the courage to look at my life and look at adversity and looking fear in the eyes and saying, you're not going to win. So in our health journey, I think it's very important to not only just have boldness to stand up for what we believe in and to make changes, but then have the ability to reach down and to pull courage out of ourselves and to push through when times get tough. And I think that's really important.
Hold on for a second, man. Just let it breathe for a second. Just let that breathe, man. Whew. Gotta cool it down a little bit.
My bad, man. You prompted that.
Gotta cool it down just a little bit, man. Listen, y'all. It is a tough reality, but there are people out there that are living a game of life or death. Right now, they're battling with themselves. We have had so many people message us and talk about their battle with, wanting to basically end it all. Or as they say nowadays, unalive, because they don't want to get censored. And that's another part of the game. But it is important to understand that you were not put here or created for a life of scarcity and meagerness and want and lack. I need you guys to understand, and this was one of the things that really helped me be able to feel that the words I'm saying are really true. It's really seeing the abundance in nature. This is why I love getting into my garden, and I love to observe nature, whether it's snails or squirrels or those freaking mayflies that are literally everywhere and seem to have no purpose. But I'll tell you one thing, they're abundant. You get yourself a fruit fly infestation. Thank you. I don't know what I was trying to say. And y'all bet y'all see abundance then. The life that we live, the life that we should be living is one of abundance. And so if you are lacking in abundance, then there's room for improvement. And like Stephen mentioned, I always like to bring to the forefront, our health and wellness is literally a basic right. But without that, it's hard to even see abundance in the rest of the world. So let's get there first, and then let's just enjoy the journey. Someone made a comment, and I was going to address it at the time, but I'm gonna swing back to it because I don't understand this comment. I don't know what it was meant to do or why it was made. But when I was talking about life being a game, this person said, want to tell the people of Ukraine that life is a game. I don't need to tell the people of Ukraine that life is a game because we all have our own extreme experiences. I don't need to be in Ukraine to have experienced what it's like to be in Ukraine. I grew up in the projects. I grew up in an area where we heard gunshots on a regular basis. Sometimes those gunshots were our friends being killed down the street, where you heard ambulances like it was Christmas music. It was so bad that when I finally left this city, this area where I was at, when I didn't hear gunshots and ambulances or fire trucks, it was an eerie silence. So there's no reason for you to throw out there, tell someone else that it's a game because their life is so much worse. You don't know what their experience is. All you know is what the news tells you. But what I can tell you is this. Steve, when the military practices with their missiles and their ships and their planes, like, don't they call that war games or something?
It's a real thing.
War games, real thing. When you go to a court, we're talking a legal court, right? You have a judge and you're in a court and you have a defense team and you have a prosecuting team, kind of like basketball where you have two opposing teams and then you have the judge, the referee, right? And Stephen, what do they play on? What is it that they play on?
A court.
Oh, a basketball court. Wait, what about in tennis? Do they play on a court in tennis? And they have a referee or a judge? So when I say life is a game, I'm not talking out the side of my neck. And I don't really like letting comments like that slide because why are we commenting that? How did everything I say go over your head and that's the comment that you want to make? This is the problem with our perceived reality. We have to stop being victims. You're utilizing someone else and trying to prop up their victimhood. Let's stop being victims. Let's learn that life, whether you want to admit it or not, is a game that's being played. You can sit on the bench and you can sit on the sidelines and you can be a pawn in the game, or you can become a player.
Not only that, but in this same vein, I know people actively who decided, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to leave. And then they come to America And then now they're literally with like, I've never lived in a place like this. This is so much better than I expected. I know 3 languages. They came here and she instantly had a job as a translator and started making more money than she had ever made in 6 months. So while yes, all of those things are relevant in that sense, at the same time, and as we were speaking about, you can have life happen to you, or you can decide to do something about it. You can, of course, be bold and stand up and have courage to do something different and make a change. And yes, it's going to be scary. And yes, it's going to be frightening. But if you do it and then you are successful with it, you never know what's going to be on the opposite side of it. So while no, as we don't compare people's traumas, because I can say that my dad leaving me or me getting in a car accident was extremely traumatic and it changed my life. You can have someone that goes through the exact same thing and they don't experience the same trauma. It's not traumatic to them. So we can't compare what's traumatic and what is not, right? What we can do is we can look at the experience of that person and then how they then coped with that and then what was the outcome. So at the end of the day, it's not really about what happens to us in life. It's about what happens and how we respond is what truly matters.
How you, what they say, what happens to you is 10%. How you respond to what happens is 90%. Not to say that what happens is insignificant. It's not at all. It's a catalyst. It's really about how you respond to it. If you want the world to be a better place, you have to start with yourself. I don't even talk about what's going on with other people until I clean up my own house. It doesn't make sense. What business do I have telling someone else what they should or shouldn't do and my house is in disarray? That's the problem. We need to focus more on ourselves, focus within. That's the whole point of our programs and our teachings. Our goal is to get you guys to understand, focus on you, be selfish, focus on your health and wellness, because that's going to make everything else more seamless. If you want to go and help someone else, you can do that now because you have the experience helping yourself first. It's one of the most twisted things I see. Large groups of people going to help people that are less fortunate, but yet these people that are going to help the less fortunate people are all messed up themselves. What kind of help and aid can you really give someone when you don't have your own stuff in order? So I think it's important to make sure that we are in this world, in this reality right now, where everybody is censored. You're supposed to shy away from certain things. You're supposed to not say certain things. We are not allowed to have uncomfortable conversations and have uncomfortable truths. And I'm just not for it. Somebody's got to stand up and be like, nah, we're going to have this conversation, because when two groups of people stop communicating, that's when war happens. Like, why is it that two people that are human beings, that in the grand scheme of things, when we look at humanity, why is it that two people can't speak and talk about something, can't work out a compromise about something? Someone has decided that we're going to stop communicating, whether it's through censorship or feeling like you're better than, or feeling like someone's lesser than, or whatever the case may be. And now you have decided, or they have decided, we're not going to communicate. We're just going to handle this the old-fashioned way. We're going to go to war, and we're going to hurt each other, and we're going to continue to hurt each other. Does that sound? Think about that scenario. Two neighbors live right across the street from each other. Literally everything that happens in this neighborhood impact them both. They have a dispute for whatever reason. It could be the neighbor's cat pooping on your lawn. I've heard that. I saw a video, some lady going over to fight this lady across the street because her cat poops on the lady's lawn or something, or comes into her garage. And instead of talking They just start doing things to each other. They go to war. Oh, this person has a car parked on the street. It's broke down. So now the city gets involved, and then it gets escalated. Oh, well, since you're gonna get the city involved to try to get my car towed, I'm gonna TP your house, or I'm gonna, do something. And now y'all are going back and forth, throwing trash and poop across at each other, trashing the neighborhood, making everything bad for everybody. Does that sound like two healthy individuals? Do you think that maybe if those two individuals worked more on themselves, worried about their own PTSD, which a lot of us have, by the way, worked on their own anxiety, worked on whatever they had, their poor relationships, their mommy daddy issues, do you think if those two individuals would have worked on themselves first before interacting in the commonplace, that interaction might have gone a little different? Hey, I just wanted to let you know that your cat's been coming over and like pooping in my lawn. It's crazy. I don't know if they like my grass better or whatever. Is there a way that you can maybe monitor your cat or make sure that they're not coming over my? Oh yeah, that cat gets out sometimes. It's not even supposed to be. It's an indoor cat, and I'll make sure it's my son. He opens the door, and I'll make sure that I keep the cat away from the door when my son goes outside. So, I think we could learn a lot from really simple examples, because all of the war, everything that we've experienced, all of the back and forth, it all comes from really small disagreements. People not understanding each other, people projecting on each other. And my message is, let's focus on ourselves first. Let's be better people before we go and interact with other people. Or if we're going to interact with other people, let's give grace, knowing that people aren't fully developed, knowing that people have trauma. Some people are never going to focus on fixing themselves, and that's okay. That's a them problem. But if you don't react in a way that fuels the flames, they'll go out. Right? So I want to make sure that you guys understand that right now the registration is open to join our 5-2 fasting blitz. It's March Madness, and we got a fasting blitz. Coach Mel said, I didn't know you could blitz in basketball. I said, I didn't either. But we're doing it anyway, man.
We got a full court press going on.
Full court press. We have the next 3 weeks, starting on Sunday, the next 3 weeks, we are going to go over the preparation. We're going to go over the fasting cycle, so you'll learn about the 5-2, and then we're going to go over how you guys need to refeed and come off of it. I think that, with doing a 5-day fast on a cycle like this, it's going to really help bolster the weight loss that you guys want to see. It's going to help bolster getting your blood pressure under control. It's going to help bolster that spiritual enlightenment, because like I said on yesterday's call, you have to fast longer to get to different areas of different benefits of fasting. So we got to work you guys up to longer fasts. And some of you all are kind of scared off by the 21-day fast. I get comments about that a lot. 21 days is too long. They have a lot of fear. What if you just joined the 21-day and then you just went as far as you could? What if you completed the 21-day, not ever thinking it was something you could do? I talked about Kyrie Irving last night, who I guess he's basically my favorite basketball player, not necessarily because of his skills on the court, which are not to be undermined, but just who he is as a person. I like his spirit. But he was fasting in one of his most recent games. He was on a 48-hour fast and dropped 35 points, playing in a sport at the highest level. I think that's just incredible. And probably very little athletes can say they've done something like that. So what if you'll be successful? And what if you will show yourself that you're able to do something that you never thought you were able to do? And what if it opens a door for you to then venture out and explore that wondrous mind, that childlike wonder that you used to have, that you were born with, that was snuffed out by modern society and sophistication and being civilized? What if we got back to the roots, got down and dirty, got grimy, and just started experimenting and having fun and inviting our friends to do the same? So my challenge to you all is to, if you all are ready to take accountability, if you're ready to let failure fall by the wayside, we're not worried about failure. We're not worried about what if this and what if that. We're looking at outcomes. We're focused on outcomes. What if you succeed? And if you're ready to take responsibility for your success, I want you guys to join us on this challenge. And I would love for you to invite one of your friends to come. It's really better when you guys do this together. You know, when Stephen and I, John and I, when we were fasting early on, fasting together was everything. It made a huge difference. So it was our own experience and our own struggle that taught us that. And we want to make sure that we convey that to you all. Do not do this by yourself. Come join, learn, have fun, and let's learn to hurdle these obstacles together.
You know, and the one thing that is unique about this challenge is that this is the first 5-2 that we have done as a challenge. We have done, of course, the juice fast. We've done the R72, and of course, we've done the 21 day. But the 5-2 is unique, and it is the one fast that I typically teach people the most, and there's reasons for that. So I think Chris was talking about this in another live, but even the 3-2 gives you really those starting points to the benefits of a longer fast. So technically, anything over 3 days would be considered long-term fasting. Most of what you hear about fasting in the world right now is going to be intermittent fasting. So you hear your doctor, all the people in this fitness industry, all of them talking about fasting. 90+% of them are talking about intermittent fasting. But when you start to get into 3 days, you really just begin to get into the benefits of long-term fasting. When you start to hit 5 and then 7 and then 10, and then you do that on a schedule, it really changes the game. Like when people ask me, right, like when they're talking about fasting and they want to do like fasting for weight loss, or they want to do fasting because they want to heal an issue, or they want less symptoms with PCOS or fibromyalgia or whatever their issue is, right? They want less inflammatory symptoms, or they have all of these issues in their bowels and their gut, and they want to start healing these issues. I tell them you need to get into long-term fasting, because this is when the body then starts to getting into the deeper levels of autophagy. See, we think that all autophagy is the same because autophagy is autophagy, and that's just simply not true. The deeper that you get into it, the longer it allows the body to then start to break down these free radicals, the longer it allows the body to then start to destroy these sentient cells and zombie cells. It really starts to allow the body to destroy oxidation and decrease oxidative stress in the cells. This is going to allow you to look younger. This is going to allow those joints to start feeling better. This is going to allow that pain that you have in your knee, that pain that you have in your lower back, to then start to actually decrease. This is going to allow the body to then start breaking down some of that calcification that you may have in these joints that cause arthritis. This is going to allow the body to then start to do certain things that it really doesn't have the chance to truly do, even on some of the shorter fasts. And the 5-2 is really kind of the benchmark, or the opening of the door to really getting into those longer fasts. Now, also the really good thing about the 5-2, particularly not just a 5, but the 5-2, is that it also teaches you, of course, how to eat. Someone mentioned, or Diamond, she mentioned in the group that during those 2 days, you got to be on point. And that is true. That's correct. The 5 days gives you that longevity that you really need to really start to experience some of those deep healing benefits. But then that 2 days, number one, gives you that mental break that you need that is going to allow you to then restart. And then it also teaches you then what you should be eating, how you should be eating. It's going to show you that if you eat something and then you all of a sudden gain 3 pounds after the first day, it's going to tell you you probably are sensitive to that food. It's going to show you that that food is probably inflammatory to you that you didn't know that it was before. So the 5-2 is extremely beneficial, and it allows you to go through that process of getting the long-term fast as well as having that break in between. And then it teaches you to then really get into long-term recurring fasting. And if you really want to use fasting as a weight loss strategy, the best way to do that is not by just breaking out a 21-day fast and saying, I'm gonna do 21 days or 30 days or 40 days, and I'm just gonna fast it off and I'm done. That's not the best way to do it. Can it be beneficial? Absolutely, right? But if you want to use fasting as a tool for actual weight loss, one of the best ways to learn how to do that is through some sort of cycle fasting, and starting with a 5-2, then moving up to a 7-2, and then a 10, and then a 14-2. This is really where you want to be if you want to lose weight. And you want to do it with fasting and not having loose skin and not having these issues that you would have if you were going to lose it traditionally through diet and exercise or through weight loss surgery. And we're going to teach you not only, of course, how to prepare, we're going to teach you how to fast properly. We're going to teach you how to refeed. And then something that I'm going to be teaching through this process early in the program is really also about how to then prepare the mind, how to prepare emotionally for this process, because it's very important to truly understand what to expect, what you can do during this process to help you as you are going through, and how to then get over some of these humps and hurdles that you may be experiencing. And then also one of the other last things that is going to be really beneficial through this process, and Chris was probably going to mention it, but I'll steal that thunder, is that we have the Premium Accountability membership that a lot of people are in right now, and they have 3 calls a week that they get to enjoy with all of the AHA coaches who teach a plethora of different things, and you will have access to those as well. So not only are you going to get lives through the actual program and the challenge itself, but you will get additional support and accountability by having access to the PAM calls, or the Premium Accountability membership calls as well, that will allow you deeper access into the heart of AHA and allow you to continue to stay motivated during that process. So I'm excited to do the 5-2 because, like I said, it's my favorite type of fast, and there's a lot that can be learned through the 5-2, especially if you've never done a 5-2 before.
All right. Well, listen, Steve stole my thunder. Definitely was going to tell you guys that that you're getting 9 additional calls in addition to your live calls. So the registration this time is $71. $71. It's a 3-week process. I did go ahead and put the link in the chat for you guys. You're going to get our PDF guide that's going to come along with it. You're going to get the core content that comes with it. You'll get the 9 calls. You'll get the access to the coaches. You'll get the access to the secret group, and it's going to be an experience. I'll tell you that. I know that a lot of people are going to be excited to be getting into the 5-2 and seeing the outcomes. Shout out to Sheila. Want to pay towards Garden Vibe to join the 5-2 challenge. So, all right, Sheila put $50 towards Garden Vibes. Sheila's looking for another $21.
Hey, man, let's pass the collection plate around.
Let's pass the collection plate around. Let's see if anybody wants to donate $5, $10, $21 to Garden Vibes to get her into the challenge. I guess something's going on in the chat that I didn't see. Okay. So Garden Vibes wants to join. She says she's beyond, well, he or she is beyond broke, upset, won't be able to join, need it, have to pay $8K towards my son's tuition. You know, it's life is full of obstacles. This is exactly what we were talking about earlier. Isn't it interesting that putting out that positive energy, putting out that call for help got you $50 towards your challenge. We'll see if nobody else wants to donate. We'll see what we could do. Maybe we'll get you like 3/4 of the challenge, Steve. What you think about that?
I mean, Paula said, I will take care of the remaining. Coaches, how do we make this happen?
There you go.
Oh,
yeah. Sheila came through. She came through. She said, y'all playing.
Wow. Hey, man, listen, I'm going to tell you what, man. That is AJ through and through. I mean, AHA through and through. It is a testament to Chris. I'm gonna give you this. It's a testament to you as a person, and it is a testament to your heart and the people that you have attracted to AJ. And I think that's awesome. The community that we have that helps each other, and you know, the interesting thing is that because someone so publicly took care of that for you, there is going to be an amazing amount of pressure on you now.
Oh my goodness.
To now be successful. People gonna be asking, hey, where's Garden Vibes? Hey, right? They're gonna be in the chat. Where you at? How you doing? Right? People know who you are now. They're gonna be looking for you, right? And pressure makes diamonds, baby. So, I think that's awesome.
That's incredible. That's incredible. You're right, man. The love. We host events as well. For those who don't know, we had our last event in August, and it's just such a welcoming, loving community. It's incredible. And if I got to take credit for that, I'm not mad at it, you know. But what it comes from is, like I mentioned earlier, really focusing on myself first. I wanted to put out a certain energy towards the community. I wanted to make sure that, you know, when you guys go to the comment section of my videos, you don't have a whole bunch of trolls and people talking nonsense and trying to discourage. If you guys go to my comment section and you look, you will see little to none of that. You'll see little to none of it, because I put the energy, a protective energy, out over this platform, because I want a space where people can come and get what they need without all of the extra nonsense. There's already too much nonsense going on. You know, you turn the TV on, turn the news on, there's always some nonsense going on. And it's just like, when are we ever going to get a break from this? I'm going to make sure, Garden Vibes, make sure that you email me, okay? Email me at support@ahealthyalternative.org. All right? Email support@ahealthyalternative.org, O-R-G. And let our support team know that your registration was paid by Sheila on the most recent live stream, so that we can get your information and we'll get you in the challenge. This is man, I definitely see, this is what I'll be talking about when I say you things are so unexpected. Like, you can't expect this. I never saw this coming. I never saw anything like this coming. Something to support the gentleman. Thank you, Jay. We really appreciate that. Man, what a great way to end this live. Up.
But hey, funny thing is, my camera did the same thing when I was just doing this last live. It said, "All right, I've had enough." That's my cue.
That's it. All right. Well, listen, y'all. Thank you for your time and attention over the past hour and 10 minutes. It has been our pleasure to serve you all tonight. If you got something good out of this, hit the like button. If you want to join the challenge, the link is going to be in the description box or in the comment section if you're watching the replay. If you guys have already joined the challenge, invite one of your friends to come and join and do it with you. It'd be great if it'd be somebody local that you could interact with and just kind of talk about the experience. But obviously, you're going to be able to find great people to interact with in the actual group. Before we leave, I'm gonna put a link in the chat for anybody who just wants to interact more with the AHA community. I'm going to put in a link to join our private membership area. It's a free community for you all. Okay. Invitation is in the chat. And we're going to go ahead and call it a wrap tonight. Steve, man, you've been working hard tonight.
That I know, man. Chris got me working double duty. Listen, guys, that's the first time that has ever happened in that way. And I just think that it is once again a testament to AHA, the community, and for anybody that was sitting here and you listened to Chris talk about failure, and you listened to me talk about courage and boldness and obstacles, and how obstacles are going to be in your way. But then if you can find a way to overcome them, you never know what's on the other side. And why, yes, I made a joke about how that, how they will, all eyes are on them now, but I'm serious also. When you have something like that happens and you have a situation where you have to now perform, this is where you're going to get the most benefit. When you take a step and you enact boldness and you step up to the plate, when you feel like there is nothing else left, that is when you get the most outcome. That is when you get the most benefit. When I stepped up and Chris came to me and said, I want you to start fasting, I was literally at my wit's end. And that is what I needed in order for me to get to where I am now. So look at your excuses, pile them on top of each other, and then those excuses should be now 5, 10, 20 reasons why you do need to do this. So you haven't seen the rest of us, as Chris said. We're going to pile it on you guys this week. And we have a lot of good content that's going to be coming, of course, during the challenge as well. And I have already begun to prepare my lessons during this challenge and the lives. And if anyone has ever been in the challenges, and if you like the way that every coach is a little different, but if you like how I do my coaching, you're going to get a lot of Steven during this challenge. And that's my promise to you.
All right, y'all. Thank you very much. We're out of here. Good night.